We live a very interesting existence. This world that we find ourselves in, this spiritual soul trap, this dimension that has the intention of destroying your confidence and destroying your mind. What a weird realm to be born into. What a weird existence to be in. Out of all the possibilities, we're in this one. Out of all the infinite realities they say that's out there, we're in the worst possible reality that can ever be imagined. Having the dreams and inspirations and ambitions of a creative God, but being restricted due to the flesh and due to the soul trap matrix of the archons and the evil, sadistic, twisted, wicked demiurge. What a hell of an existence. Think about the things you've been through in your life. Think about your struggles, your battles, and the things you had to wrestle with. The psychological torment. Hell, even the physical ailments that came along due to the psychological torment. Think about the vortex of emotions, the swarm of emotional deficiencies that overtook your mind and kind of ground you down, that took away your confidence, that destroyed your inspiration and broke down your aspirations and made you feel worthless with no purpose. That's what this life will do to you. And it's always the comparison. They say comparison is the thief of joy, but the world is literally set up for people to compare and try to, look down on somebody that has less than them or whatever, or just do all of these type of negative things, right? And it's a predatory world. You know, billions of people all need to eat. And it doesn't matter if you're a vegetarian as well, because still plants are living things as well. Just because they can't talk, they have different methods of communication, right? So everything is pretty much alive, right? If you eat that piece of broccoli or that carrot, it had to be grown, and it had to become sustained. It needed minerals and vitamins and nutrients. It needed certain things to grow, sunlight and water and nourishment. So it's the same thing as a baby being born. A baby needs all those type of things to be born. So, those vegetables and those fruits, these are living beings as well. They're just a different type. So this world is designed on you to eat things that have to be carefully nourished and brought into existence and brought into life. The sustainability of life demands the sustenance of others. It's ridiculous. It's a predatory cycle that's evil and wicked and sadistic. Where is the righteousness? Where is the holiness? Where is the tranquility? Where is the peace? Why is this world so fixated on war, so fixated on destruction, so fixated on chaos, so fixated on just things that are designed to break your mind, designed to distract your mind and waste your time? It's sickening and it's disgusting. It's detestable. It's absolutely reprehensible that we have to be in a world where the main principle of the world is sick, psychotic ideologies and thoughts. And it's so rare. It's so rare to find real souls and real spirits and real people with the real definition of the truth. Just look around and the truth will come to you. People say, okay, what's the truth? Just look around and look and see what you see. That's how you find the truth. You just sit, look around. Okay, this world is evil. The politicians are lying. They're hiding things from us. Okay, I so with that, I can conclude that this is evil and wicked. you know, we have loved ones that we love in our families that pass away. Okay, that's evil because I loved that person and that person loved me. Now they're gone forever and I'll never see them again. Never ever talk to them again. We'll never ever talk again. Ever. That's something that, can break a man down too psychologically. So, what kind of realm are we in? Really, where do we find ourselves in where every single day you have to work for, you know, just to sustain a body that you didn't even ask to be put inside of? How many of you guys remember asking to be brought into this existence? Exactly, nobody. So, we are forced to be in an existence where you have to thirst, you have to hunger, you have emotional needs, you have physical needs, and that's why a lot of us are depressed and stressed, is because we're not getting our emotional or physical needs met. You know, you need to have emotional alleviation in integration with sexual alleviation, which means that you need to have a woman that genuinely loves you and cares about you to get those emotional needs met, and then you need a woman so you can engage in adult activities to get those physical needs met, so you can feel alive, so you can feel a little confidence, so you can walk with a little swagger in your step. It's real shit, man. Being alone for a long time, not having a woman, being touch starved. Touch starvation is a real thing. Not being able to feel a woman, touch a woman, sense a woman. You know, it's brutal. But millions of men are facing this. Millions of men are struggling. They're struggling in this world because the world is set up for you to struggle. It's not set up for you to have peace. You may have a little moment of peace here and there, but it's always destroyed, unless you're in an extremely good situation, you have a lot of money, and then you're able to escape the makeshift matrix and the system that's designed to destroy your creative ingenuity. You know, if we're one of the lucky ones that we get past the demiurge and his big seven abyssal gates, and we get past his monsters and creatures and soul trap eaters, if we get past all of that, we get into the dark abyss, and we manage to survive the horrors and the terrors and the screaming sounds and the screaming abyssal winds of dead gods and evil entities and beings that hunt eternal souls in the night. They literally look for eternal souls and hunt them down in the darkness to devour them. It's scary and terrifying. But if we survive that and get back to the pleroma, the thing that I think about is once you enter the pleroma, you'll be able to be your own God. As long as you stay connected with the monad and you don't get prideful, you'll be able to create your own worlds, your own universes, your own gods if you want to, your own angels, any creature you can imagine, you can manifest. You ain't got to worry about money no more. You ain't got to worry about anything. And that's the goal of the human spark. In Gnosticism, in the Gnostic text, it says the goal of humanity is to regain their memories and regain the gnosis, like regain the knowledge that you are an eternal God, and you need to go back to the realm where you can go back and be a God, and your purpose for existence is creating. That's why a lot of humans innately they have this ability to create. Almost every human can create something if they really try. But the problem is this world beats it out of you, you know? And this world makes it think it's like, that's why artists and people like that, we have it the hardest. People try to be musicians, people that try to be, writers, people that try any creative field, people trying to make their own video games, trying to make their own anime, whatever it is, that's a creative endeavor, becomes a Herculean type task simply because the system doesn't want you expressing those emotional feelings of being a god, those emotional creative juices. The demiurge doesn't want you to do that. He wants you to be his eternal prisoner so he can soul trap you. But when you get to the pleroma, you'll be able to create anything. Anything you can imagine, you can create as long as you stay aligned with the monad, because you start creating worlds and you start creating this and that, and you get too cocky or you get too arrogant or you get too prideful. You think that, oh yeah, I'm the greatest, I'm the best. Your frequency will start to drop, and then you'll be thrown out the pleroma pretty much and thrown back into the abyss. And this time, you're not going to be able to escape so easily or escape at all. Sounds scary, right? But since we were literally gods that are born from the abyss, pretty much from Sophia's horror, because when the goddess or when the Aeon Sophia fell into the dark abyss, she got tormented by the demiurge. Yes, your God of the Bible tormented his own mother just so he can get her divine spirit and her divine light so he can help create his universes and realms, and soul trapped. And we are pieces of Sophia that fell from her sparks when she was getting terrorized and tortured in the deep abyss by the God of the Bible, Yaldabaoth or whatever. And then he took all that power and started making his realms and worlds. And then Sophia prayed up. And that's when the Gnostic Christ had to descend down, put a shield of light around her, and take her back to the pleroma, or take her near the pleroma. Because like Sophia, she's not totally in her original place in the pleroma. She's in like her own little spatial mini heaven, pretty much, right? And before we get to the pleroma, we got to go there to kind of rest our souls and get prepared into the pleroma, yeah? But when I get to the pleroma, if I get to the pleroma, because if some deep, dark, abyssal terror doesn't devour my soul, in the pitch black abyss, we got to navigate. And also they say this too, though, in Gnosticism. They say that if you're a truly divine being, When you pass away, you can just close your eyes and you can just boom, wake up in the pleroma. Like you can just bypass the archons, you can bypass the deep dark terrors of the abyss. But these are only for the truly awakened Gnostic souls, the ones that know that you are not from this world. You are eternal God from a different dimension. You are from the pleroma. You are from the original creation and not the creation of Yaldabaoth, the false god of this realm, which is the God of the Bible, who's a God that's jealous and demands worship and fear and intimidation and use psychological obliteration to get you inside of his evil psychotic claws so he can deceive you and defeat you and deplete you and destroy you. No. We're tired of being destroyed in this eternal infernal void. We want peace. We want to be able to go to a place where we can have tranquility and we can be creator gods and create entire worlds and realms and planets and, you know, what a brutal reality, though. The things that we have to suffer. Many of us, we've been going through it for years. Many of us have been teased, humiliated, defeated, annihilated, spiritually isolated, with no one to talk to, no one to go to, nowhere to go, no hope, isolated, thinking like, damn, is life even worth continuing at times because I'm so depressed, I'm so miserable. But you have to fight and you have to stay strong. You have to stay strong. I know it sounds arbitrary. It sounds like just some standard default talking point, but you have to stay strong for real. This world is trying to break you, man. You have to understand that the things that you're going through are customized to break you. You can't let it break you. You can't. I know life can get hard. I know life can get brutal. I know life can get like, damn, this is just hard, but we have to fight through. We have to have and hold on to our hopes and hold on to our hopes. You know, I just ran out of kush. I don't got no kush, and every time I don't have any kush, I get irritable, get angry, don't feel like, doing this, don't feel like doing that, just, you get angry because, and then you start to see the world for what it really is. And then it's like, right? But that should show you how miserable this world is. And people have to utilize certain substances and drink alcohol and play video games, eat food, or whatever it is, watch your favorite anime, whatever it is that you have to cope with, just because reality is so brutal. Reality is so merciless. Reality is so just undeserving of our attention, but it takes up our prioritization because we have to survive. It's crazy how we can just be in a world that constantly just capitulates upon itself in like a lot of times, and it's just almost instantaneously wickedness is created out of thin air. There's always a new problem. There's always this. There's always that. The news is telling you this. The news is telling you that. They're dragging you this way. They're dragging you that way. They're dragging you down the highway. They're dragging you everywhere, but to the truth. Trust me, guys, really look inside yourself. I want you guys to really just, when you get a chance, sit in total silence, quietness. Even if you have to turn on some meditative music and put your earphones in and really think inside yourself. Really try to find yourself. Really try to understand who you are, not what the world forces you to be. You have to find out who you are, not what the world made you into, which is a subservient servant of evil. That's what we all engaging in. Because like when you serve the system, you got to pay bills and do all that. You have to be a part of the system. So so even if you're not intentionally trying to serve a system that's wicked, you have to be obedient to it somewhat, because you have to be in a society. You got to pay your bills. You got to pay your rent. You got to get gas in your car. You got to do all these things, right? You got to take crap from your boss. These are things that are mandatory. But if everybody just say, we're going to stop working today, we're just going to stop, we're going to let society just stop until they start paying livable wages, until they start treating us like human beings and stop treating us like just objects, like you would treat a bulldozer or like you would treat a shovel. It's like, no, we're human beings with souls and spirits. You got to treat us with some respect and dignity. Don't sit there and talk like you got your boss who's yelling at people on the job, who's disrespecting people, who's being an ass. People got bosses like that. Like people tell me horror stories about their jobs. They tell me about certain people who, like at their jobs who just like be watching them, and they're hard workers, and these people be watching them and then plotting against them and then telling the boss that they did this, just making shit up, and trying to get them fired low key. And then the boss sits there and knows it's a lie and still believes it anyway because he got something against them too. And it's like, And this person, has to do this because this person has a kid. So they have to work, and that's such an emotional, psychological, damaging thing, especially when especially when you want to do something else, especially when you want to do something more creative, more innovative. Like this is something that you really want, but you can't because you have other responsibilities and obligations that have to be taken care of and need your main prioritization and focus. This is why I tell you guys, man, especially guys like us in this position, if you're always alone or something like that, you know, start writing, keep a journal, do something that is creative, do something that works your mind, you get your mind, because remember, your mind is a muscle, it's a spiritual muscle, you know, your soul, your mind, it's a spiritual muscle that needs exercise like any other muscle, you know. If you want to have stronger arms, you got to lift weights, you want stronger muscle, running legs, you got to run, jog, right? So if you want more wisdom and knowledge and an open mind, you got to think and utilize that mind. If anything, if you can take anything from my videos when you watch me, I want you to take this. Utilize your mind. Use your own analyzation. Don't just listen to what I say blindly. When I say certain things, you research it. You make sure that what I'm saying is truthful. You research it, you analyze it, and you make sure so you can get it within the depths of your soul. So you can understand, so you can gain the gnosis, because somebody can't just tell you gnosis. Gnosis is something that your soul has to discover. You have to discover that on your own. You have to discover whether you live in a soul trap or not, or whether you'll be able to close your eyes with the holy divinity, and then boom, you're in a place of serenity, in a place of peace, in a place of tranquility, and you enter into godhood, right? Or the place where Sophia is at for the time being. But you enter into a place where you have peace. You ain't got to worry about the abyssal terrors. You ain't got to worry about Abaddon. Because Abaddon, what one thing Abaddon does when he sends you to that one of his astral hells is he takes the howling, screaming winds of the abyss. You see, the abyss has swallowed countless gods and countless universes and countless stars and countless dimensions. The abyss has swallowed it. And a lot of these gods, they were screaming as they were entering the pitch black abyss. The sheer darkness and the monsters in the abyss feeding on them, it would terrorize these gods. It terrorized them. So when these gods passed away, they screamed. And in the deep, dark abyss, the sounds have nowhere to go. So it just echoes across eternity in the abyss everywhere. So you have the screams of trillions of gods in their whole pantheons, even more than trillions. Who knows the real number? But there's countless numbers of beings that are being tormented, souls that are being hunted in the dark as they're streamed and wiped out. Abaddon, what he does in his Google Abaddon. Google what I'm saying. When you type in Abaddon or Apollyon, the angel of the abyss, right? Or the angel of death is what they call it. Google what he does to souls when he torments them and wants you to get back into a soul trap body. He rules the demiurge's most lower part of his universe. This is Abaddon. And one of his methods of destruction is using the sound amplification of the abyss. So he takes the screams of the abyss and he pretty much amplifies it and puts it directly into your ears and puts it into the winds all around you. So you're going to be it's designed to break your mind and terrify you, for you to beg to stop and for you to be obedient and get back into that body and be reincarnated. But there's also other torments besides that. They're not going to just torment you one time and you say stop and they stop and throw you into a body. No, the objective is to break you. The objective is to destroy your mind so you can be soul trapped. And this is just and this is not even escaping the demiurge. The demiurge is soul trap. So we better gain gnosis. We got to gain that knowledge so we can just pass away, open up our eyes, and be in a heaven. We ain't got to go through that shit. But if we fail that, if we don't gain the true gnosis, there's still a way to the pleroma, but it's going to be a lot harder. You got to get past the demiurge's gates. You got to be in that pitch black abyss with abyssal horrors, ancient abyssal horrors, the shadow souls of abyssal gods. When they passed away, they screamed, and then as their soul got destroyed, it cast a shadow into the abyss. So now that shadow becomes a living evil monster of a dead, forgotten ancient god that haunts you in the darkness, finds you and devours you. This is scary shit. But you hear the Egyptian, they look at ancient Egypt, they talk about the underworld and the scary monsters that inhabit it. and how if the soul, certain souls that are not right, if your soul not as light as a feather or whatever, there's certain things that can devour you, that can devour your soul and destroy your eternal spark, and you will never make it to the pleroma, and you will never get to the position of being the God to create infinite realms. This is a serious spiritual battle. We have to earn our godhood according to Gnosticism. This is according to Gnosticism. So, you know what I'm saying? So you can take it as myth or mythos. You know what I mean, right? But this is just my interpretation, though not my interpretation. This is what Gnosticism is, and it's my perspectives on speaking on it and showing you, you know, what it's about. Gnosticism is all about getting the gnosis and reaching the pleroma and becoming divine gods and divine beings and be able to create our own heavens, right? But first, we got to escape this wickedness. We got to protect our souls. We got to protect the pure essence of our souls. It's hard, man, because when you go through the things that we've been through in this life, when you really go through it, your soul gets damaged. Your soul gets trauma. Your soul gets pulled down and weighed down by this evil. I really wish a lot of us, you know, can escape the situations that we're in. I hear people, you know, people tell me, you know, that the situation that they're in has become unbearable and unrepairable. And they just want peace and tranquility, but they can't find it. They can't seem to find the peace. They always find, you know, bad things happening in their life and they don't know why. And then they see certain people and their life goes exactly how they quote unquote planned it. But they're not knowing that the archons are pulling the strings. They probably did a deal with the archons before they got reincarnated and soul trapped, right? But the archons wipe their memories anyway. So certain people you see that are quote unquote blessed, yeah, they're blessed by God or blessed by Yaldabaoth, the God of this abyssal world or these abyssal worlds and this abyssal universe. Yes, they're blessed by him. The God has favorites. The God of the Bible has favorites. But remember, he's not the true God. He's the demiurge. The truest God that we know of is the monad and the pleroma, right? And there is holes in excuse me. And there is holes in Gnosticism. Don't get it twisted. Don't think I'm just blindly following Gnosticism like a blind. No, I'm thinking critically and concisely and precisely. You don't think I know that it's how come the monad, if he's the true father, how come he can't just come down here and save us or whatever? How come he can't just send the energy beam and blow us and destroy the demiurge? Number one, the abyss is very chaotic. Even the monad, like the monad can come down and do a light beam blast, but it will destroy our souls as well. And our souls are uniquely rare in the pleroma, meaning that in the abyss, we're the most rarest sought after thing ever. So when we go into that pitch black abyss, if you don't immediately utilize and integrate the gnosis, and you're in that pitch black abyss, those abyssal terrors looking at you like you look at $1 million or $1 billion on the ground, and they're gonna come, you know. But if you have gnosis, you'll be able to fly right past these beings and get past it and get to the pleroma quickly, or get to where Sophia's at before entering the pleroma, which is a safe haven, right? But this is just Gnosticism interpretation, but there is holes in it. You know, it's like, okay, well, is the monad the supreme God? Then it seems like there's limitation, or maybe I'm understanding it wrong. I don't mean any disrespect to the monad, but you gotta understand. I'm in the demiurge's soul trap matrix, and maybe I'm ignorant. Maybe there's certain things I forgot. Maybe there was an ancient war that happened, and maybe the monad's a piece of an ancient god, and maybe the spreader, I don't know, I really don't. But there's holes in Gnosticism. How come if we're gods and all this, how come we can't just break out this physical body and just teleport back into pleroma easily? Why are we so weak? And I understand it's because the demiurge made us with the abyssal clay, and the demiurge uses everything to mess with us, but still, how come we can't just fight back? And how come it's so easy for us, if we're gods, to have our minds wiped? How is that? Like, this makes no Gnosticism sometimes doesn't make any sense, because it's like, if we're supposed to be almighty and powerful, how are we able to be soul trapped in the first place? Right? So there's questions in it, but to me, this is the closest thing to the truth. that the God of this world is an evil bastard. Evil, wicked, selfish, narcissistic, ritualistic, ballistic, demands blood, demands worship, demands you fall on your knees and praises him, demands it, or he'll send you to hell, to his astral hells. You know, with abyssal screams and abyssal terrors and all types of scary monsters that terrify you from the blackness of, like, they'll put scary images in front of your face. It's terrifying. Honestly, terrifying. It's why a lot of people are scared of the dark, because there's things that lurk in the dark for real. Contrary to popular belief, monsters are real and they do lurk in the dark. That's the truth. People in Area 51 and a biogenetics lab know about it, but that's classified, right? They always classify it and hide and shit. That's why the public is ignorant. What a world, man. So I want you guys to start just thinking of creative projects. Just even if you, okay, look, watch your favorite anime and then write down one thing you like about it. This is what I used to do. I used to watch anime, especially like Black Clover, and I'll write what I liked about the episode, what I didn't like, what I liked about the certain scene transitions. If there was like an anime battle, I'll write what got me hyped, what didn't get me hyped, what kind of color that they use, what kind of music that they use. Like I'll break it down because I always wanted to make stuff like that myself, and I just want to see what's good and what's not. I don't know. I have a fascination for creativity because I'm a divine spark. Like and I'm a rare. I'm not just saying that just to say that. People know you're probably a divine spark as well. That's why your life is the way it is. There's something about you, man, that's different. That's why you stick out. This is why you stick out. You're not like the rest of the people. This is why people can despise you with an intensity but be fascinated with you at the same time. Right? You're a somebody. That's why. You are not a nothing. You are not a nobody. You are a something. You are somebody. You can achieve greatness. You are greatness. You come from the pleroma. Don't let this world break you down and say that you're this and that. Don't let this world destroy you. You have to fight through it and believe it. If not, the world will devour you and the abyssal terrors will devour your soul forever. Get the gnosis. Don't engage with the evil wickedness of this world. There are higher realms that we have to get through. Higher evil realities that we have to bypass to get to the true reality. This is not a game. When you pass away, it's not a game. They will immediately try to start terrorizing you for certain people. Other people, they may have it a little bit easier. They may try to put your family member that you never seen, in years that passed away. They may try to gently soul trap you. Remember, it's customized. Every soul trap can be customized for you. So the archons may not terrorize you yet. They may come in there and show you your grandmother and this, that, and this, and then, and then boom, they'll kind of do a scary transition to show you that you're not in control in the situation. And then put you between a judge and they judge you and they say you did this sin, you're guilty of that, you didn't accomplish that, this, that, and this. And they'll have some of your family members, yes, go back and do this and that. And those are really archons that just shape-shifted into your family members because your real ones are probably gone into oblivion or somewhere or in another astral hell being tormented. Yeah, this is the real shit. This is the scary shit. People that you love, your family members, are probably in a dimension screaming and being tormented forever, or until they get reincarnated. Or if they serve their purpose, the damn demiurge throws them to the outer abyss and then the abyssal terrors devour their soul. Frightening, isn't it? But that's narcissism for you. That's why it was banned, because it doesn't tell a happy, rosy story of you just passing away and going to heavens with angels and living happily forever. No, it says that you are a god, and there's a goddess that lives inside of you. That's a piece of Sophia, your soul, and that you got to get to the pleroma. And when you go to the pleroma, you become a superior god, and the pleroma is infinite realm, meaning that you can have trillions of gods there. And there'll still be room to create infinitely. There's no such thing as limit in the pleroma, meaning that you can create a god yourself. Yes, you. When you get to the pleroma, you can create a god. And then that god will be able to be its own individual, having its own thoughts and its own creative abilities. And it can create gods itself. And you have a whole family line that you birthed of gods that created their own universe. You have gods going down thousands of lineages or even more that come from you. that are creating their own gods and creating their own heavens. And then, you know what I mean? This is what the pleroma is about, infinite creation. The monad is about infinite expression. This is the secret of Gnosticism. We are not meant to go to some hell forever and burn. We're not meant to go to some heaven of a fake God and praise him for an eternity just so he can have his ego stroked. We are meant to go into the pleroma and become our own gods and create our own heavens and forever. But never fall into pride. Always pay your respects to the monad and always understand your power comes from the monad. When you create your crystal worlds, when you create your cities and civilizations, you can create anything your mind can imagine in the pleroma. Remember that, if you believe in Gnosticism. Otherwise, you can just take what I'm saying as just myth and just, fantasy, right? Which is fine. But interesting.